There was a time when people believed movies had boundaries: moral boundaries, visual boundaries, psychological boundaries. And then American Psycho came along. Adapted from a book that was once deemed unfilmable and even unspeakable in polite company, this film carved its way through cinema with an axe and a business card. It wasn't just a film. It was a provocation. A mirror held up to capitalism, masculinity, and madness, wrapped in Valentino suits and drenched in Huey Lewis and the news. Behind the smirking mask of Patrick Bateman lies a tangle of studio conflicts, casting chaos, authorial resistance, feminist subversion, and mind-bending symbolism. What's real? What's fantasy? Who was supposed to play Bateman? And why did Hollywood panic? These are 20 weird facts you didn't know about American Psycho, the film that smiled while it tore the system apart. Fact number 1. Before Christian Bale wore the mask of Patrick Bateman, the role was dangerously close to belonging to Leonardo DiCaprio. Fresh off Titanic, DiCaprio was the studio's golden boy, bankable, adored, untouchable. When Lionsgate offered him the lead, the backlash was instant. Feminist groups protested. Bret Easton Ellis, the author, was wary. Director Mary Harron, furious. Harron believed DiCaprio was too boyish, too likable. His presence would shift the film's dark satire into romantic confusion. The studio fired her anyway, replacing her with Oliver Stone and moving full speed ahead with Leo. But Stone couldn't crack the script. DiCaprio backed out. Harron returned, and so did her vision with Bale as her razor-sharp instrument. That one casting change might have saved the film from becoming a misunderstood, glossy disaster. Or worse, a love story. Fact number 2. Christian Bale didn't just act the part, he disappeared into it. For months before filming, he crafted Bateman's physique with obsessive control. Morning gym sessions, zero carbs, hours studying Tom Cruise interviews. Yes, Tom Cruise. Bale noticed something strange in Cruise's appearances. A blinding charisma paired with a hollow, empty stare. That eerie dissonance became the blueprint for Bateman. Bale even called it a kind of sociopathic charm. He mimicked Cruise's smile, voice modulation, posture. The result? A performance so cold and precise, even the crew felt uneasy around him. What Cruise thinks of this inspiration has never been publicly discussed. Maybe he already knows and chooses to smile through it. Fact number 3. The most talked about scene in American Psycho doesn't involve violence. It involves fonts. Fonts on business cards. That iconic scene, Bateman and his colleagues silently comparing ivory, eggshell, bone, wasn't meant as comic relief. It was designed as a portrait of ego, fragility, and masculine power rituals. Director Mary Harron filmed it like a suspense sequence. Slow motion, ominous music, close-ups of trembling hands. Every detail, kerning, watermark, card thickness, became a metaphor for Bateman's internal decay. To him, the card wasn't just stationery, it was status. And losing that invisible battle meant losing control. In a film full of blood, it's the scene with no death that cuts the deepest. Fact number 4. Mary Harron didn't just direct American Psycho, she fought for it. After being fired during the DiCaprio fiasco, she returned under one condition: complete creative control. Her vision wasn't about blood. It was about perception. Harron didn't want to make a slasher. She wanted to make a mirror. Her approach was clinical, detached. She removed sensational gore from the script and replaced it with ambiguity. Scenes were left deliberately vague. Did Bateman kill that woman? Was the chainsaw real? She even instructed Bale to play Bateman with 2 layers: what the world sees and what's rotting underneath. In doing so, Harron made one of the few horror films directed by a woman where the horror isn't the violence but the gaze. Fact number 5. The production design of American Psycho is a trap. Every surface gleams. Every suit is crisp. Every apartment, every office feels like a showroom. But it's not luxury, it's camouflage. The cold minimalism was intentional. Bateman's apartment looks like a gallery, devoid of personality. His bathroom? Sterile. His music choices? Mechanical. The aesthetic wasn't meant to seduce, it was meant to disturb. The emptier his surroundings, the more grotesque his fantasies became. And when the blood starts to flow, it stains not just the floor, but the illusion of control. Behind the perfect symmetry of Bateman's world is a void, and it echoes in every reflection. Fact number 6. The now infamous chainsaw scene almost didn't make the final cut, not because of violence, but because of logistics. Dropping a chainsaw down a stairwell and hitting a target isn't just impractical, it's impossible. The crew debated for days. Would audiences accept it? Would it break the film's logic? Harron didn't care. She saw it as a psychological release, not a literal event. The moment isn't supposed to feel real. It's supposed to feel like a climax, inside Bateman's unraveling mind. They filmed it anyway. One take, one scream, one impossibly timed kill. The chainsaw didn't just fall, it fell into cinema history. Fact number 7. Patrick Bateman's morning routine is a ritual and a performance. That opening monologue about ice packs, deep pore cleansers, and alcohol-free aftershave, it wasn't just parody. It was strategy. The scene was designed to unsettle. Bateman's obsession with surface care was a metaphor for his emotional emptiness. Every scrub, every lotion, was a layer of armor-polished perfection masking moral decay. Bale delivered the voiceover in a calm, almost sacred tone, as if reciting scripture. It wasn't vanity, it was survival. The irony? That entire monologue was invented for the film. It never appeared in the book. Just like Bateman's sense of control, it was all manufactured. Fact number 8. Huey Lewis and the News were never supposed to be funny. Bateman's monologue about hip to be square while preparing to kill Paul Allen became iconic for its bizarre contrast, cheerful pop, dissected by a psychopath. But the choice of song wasn't random. Mary Harron wanted something upbeat, almost wholesome. Huey Lewis represented 1,982nd consumer optimism, the idea that fitting and being square was actually the goal. Bateman doesn't just like the song, he believes in it. It validates his mask. Ironically, Huey Lewis initially refused to license the track for the film. He only relented years later, once the cultural backlash faded. By then, the scene had already turned his music into a murder anthem. Fact number 9. Jared Leto's casting as Paul Allen was a quiet masterstroke. At the time, Leto was mostly known for teen dramas, but Harron saw something different, an effortless smugness, the kind that makes someone hateable without trying. Allen isn't just Bateman's rival, he's his mirror. Rich, empty, interchangeable. Their names get confused. Their lives overlap. Their murders blur. Harron instructed Bale to play Bateman's hatred toward Allen like jealousy, disguised as admiration. And Leto played Allen like a man who didn't even know he was in danger. In a film about identity loss, casting someone forgettable on purpose? That's surgical filmmaking. Fact number 10. Reese Witherspoon is in American Psycho, but almost no one remembers. She plays Evelyn Bateman's fiancée, but Harron deliberately directed her scenes with a different tone. Bright lighting, shallow conversations, a weird sense of sitcom rhythm. It's as if Evelyn exists in a separate movie, a romantic comedy Bateman accidentally wandered into. This dissonance wasn't an accident, it was a design choice. Bateman doesn't live in the world, he passes through it, mimicking emotions, laughing on cue, saying what people expect. Witherspoon's performance isn't weak, it's weaponized to feel fake. And in a film about facades, that kind of artificiality is scarier than any bloodstain. Fact number 11. The ATM doesn't just talk, it gives an order. Feed me a stray cat. That line, appearing deep into Bateman's mental collapse, was never explained and never meant to be. Harron wanted the scene to push past logic. The ATM's demand isn't real, but it's not a hallucination either. It's a metaphor for Bateman's loss of moral compass. The system, capitalism, greed, power, no longer just rewards destruction. It requires it. The absurdity of killing a cat to please a machine wasn't meant to shock. It was meant to reflect the film's real horror, a world where human value is dictated by objects. Some viewers laughed. Some were disturbed. Bateman just loaded his gun. Fact number 12. There's no resolution, no confession, no punishment. And that's exactly the point. The ending of American Psycho has divided audiences for decades. Bateman confesses, but no one listens. He thinks he's a monster, but no one notices. He thinks he killed Paul Allen, but Paul Allen might be alive. The final shot lingers on his face, and the words, "This confession has meant nothing." Harron fought hard to keep that ending intact. Studios wanted clarity. She wanted chaos. Because Bateman's greatest crime isn't murder, it's invisibility. In a world where everyone plays a role, the sociopath isn't the outlier. He's the standard. That door behind him doesn't lead to freedom. It leads back into the game. Fact number 13. Patrick Bateman never uses contractions. Not once. Listen closely. He doesn't say, "I'm." He says, "I am." Not, "Don't," but "do not." The speech pattern is robotic, overly formal, strangely rehearsed. Christian Bale did it on purpose. Bale wanted Bateman to sound like someone performing humanness, not living it. The rigidity of his speech reflects a man who studied how people talk but never really felt anything. It's a layer of dissociation most viewers miss, but it's there in every line. He doesn't talk to people. He delivers lines at them, like a man reading from a script he wrote for himself. Fact number 14. There are no children in American Psycho. Not one. Not even in background shots. That was deliberate. Harron instructed the location team and extras coordinators to ensure every restaurant, every street, every office was populated exclusively with adults. The absence isn't obvious, but it creates a subtle unease. Without children, there is no sense of future, no innocence, no vulnerability to contrast the film's emotional emptiness. It creates a closed loop of adult vanity, consumption, and narcissism. In a world where everyone is pretending to be someone, perhaps children just don't exist. Or maybe they were edited out, like empathy. Fact number 15. The blood in American Psycho is never red enough. You'd think a film about murder would be soaked in crimson, but Harron and her cinematographer opted for a muted palette. The blood looks slightly brown, slightly fake, like it was filtered through a designer's lens. Why? Because the film isn't about violence, it's about the idea of violence. A sanitized, aestheticized version of horror that fits neatly into Bateman's curated life. Even his chaos must be stylish. In one scene, a body bag lies on the floor next to a bottle of Evian. No one notices either. That's American Psycho in a single frame. Fact number 16. Bateman's murders were shot like commercials. Harron instructed the cinematographer to light certain scenes not like horror but like ads. Clean whites, saturated colors, high gloss surfaces. When Bateman chases a woman with a chainsaw, the shot is framed like a music video. When he swings an axe, it's symmetrical, elegant, almost balletic. This contradiction was intentional. The violence isn't shocking because it's grotesque. It's shocking because it's beautiful. And in a world obsessed with image, beautified violence is the ultimate commentary. Bateman doesn't see horror in what he does. He sees style. And the camera agrees with him. Fact number 17. Almost every character in American Psycho calls Bateman by the wrong name. Paul Allen thinks he's Marcus Halberstram. Others call him Davis or Bryce. Even Bateman himself never corrects anyone. These identity swaps aren't just comic, they're systemic. The world Bateman lives in is so homogenized, so flooded with copy-paste suits and slick-back hair, that individuality has dissolved. No one knows who anyone is. And worse, no one cares. This mistaken identity motif becomes the film's central weapon. If names mean nothing, crimes do too. You can confess to murder and be ignored, simply because you're not unique enough to remember. Fact number 18. The book ends in a bloodbath. The film ends in silence. In Bret Easton Ellis's novel, Bateman's descent is brutal and explicit, page after page of unspeakable violence. But Mary Harron refused to replicate it. She believed that showing less would say more. Instead of gore, she gave us suggestion. Instead of climax, she gave us collapse. The film's restraint angered some fans of the book, but it earned the respect of critics who saw deeper meaning. In a story about a man who craves recognition through horror, the final insult is being ignored. Fact number 19. Bret Easton Ellis didn't like the film. At first, the author of American Psycho publicly distanced himself from the adaptation upon release. He called it too feminist, too cold, and too unsure if it was a comedy or a horror film. He believed Harron had misunderstood the novel's brutal nihilism. But over time, his stance shifted. Fans and critics began praising the film as a rare case where the adaptation improved upon the source. Its ambiguity gave it longevity. Its restraint gave it menace. Its satire became clearer as time passed. Eventually, Ellis admitted something surprising. The film is better than the book in some ways. Coming from a writer once accused of writing the most hated novel of the 92nd, that's almost romantic. Fact number 20. There is no director's cut. There never was. Fans have long speculated about a darker, bloodier version of American Psycho. A hidden cut, a censored edit, a vault filled with the true horror. The truth is more unsettling. What you saw was the intended version. Mary Harron never filmed extreme violence. There are no deleted scenes with more gore, no lost monologues, no secret endings. The film's power came from restraint, not repression. The ambiguity was baked into the script, not forced by censors. So when people ask, what's the real ending? The answer is simple. There wasn't one. There never was. Just like Bateman himself, there's nothing underneath. Bonus fact. Christian Bale stayed in character, even during breaks, but not as Bateman, the real Bateman. On set, Bale would sometimes stand in silence, staring into mirrors, practicing his smile. Not a grin, not a smirk. A perfect, symmetrical, retail-ready smile. Crew members said he was unnervingly polite, but somehow off, as if he had downloaded what politeness was supposed to look like and played it back. One day, a producer asked him how he prepared for such a chilling role. Bale answered deadpan, I just thought about what kind of person would quote morning routines and listen to Phil Collins without irony. Then he winked and walked away. To this day, no one knows if that moment was acting or a quiet confession. Not every confession demands belief, and not every mask hides something behind it. Tell us which fact made you rethink American Psycho, or if, like Bateman, you've been misunderstood all along. And if there's another film you think hides more than it shows, you know where to find us.